In this video, we're going to learn how to assign values to our variables. So from the last video, we have all of our variables that we have declared, our integer, our float, our string, and our boolean. And we want to be able to put values inside of these. So what we need to do first is, let's just show you how to do an initial variable. So when you first set up the game, you know how much ammo you want your character to start with. So what we can do is just put an equal sign right here and then a number. So let's say 100. So now what we've done is we've said make ammo as an integer variable and put the number 100 inside of it. Okay, so let's set this up so we can actually see this working. To do that, we have to go back and add something in that we deleted out earlier when we set this up. We have to put our update function back in. So type the word function, all lowercase, capital U, update, open close parenthesis. This is a function definition. We'll get into functions later on. The functions are just a group of instructions that we want to group all together and to run together. We need to go to the next line. We're going to now put in an opening and closing curly bracket. These are the brackets that are located on the keys on your keyboard just to the right of the P key. P is in Pete. So hold shift down, click that first one next to your P key, you get the opening curly bracket. If your MonoDevelop is set up to do so, it will drop in the closing one for you. If not, just type the closing one, which is the next key over. Make sure you got a couple lines in between them. We need these opening and closing curly brackets to tell the computer where this function, this group of instructions, starts and where it ends. So this is the opening one, which says it starts here, and this is the closing one, which says it ends here. So that's something that we need to have. Now, the update function is a special function that Unity knows. And the update function runs automatically every frame of your game. So every time the computer refreshes the screen, that's a new frame. And so each time it does that, it runs all the instructions in the update function. So this is probably running 60 or more times per second as your game goes through. So this is just continually looping through these instructions that are in here. Let's even put a little note here. Let's tab this over. Update runs every frame. Okay, so that's the real time, what's happening right now, this frame in my game function. So we're going to use this function to find out what value is stored in our ammo. So I'm going to push tab here to move over a bit. One thing that's very important in programming is to keep things neat and lined up. So one way we do that is we use our tab key and we line things up. So here's our function. Inside of there, we tab all this over so we can read it. When you get to have files that are maybe 1,000 lines long, if you don't format them correctly or in a certain unified way, it's going to be very, very difficult to see what it is that you're doing, to read it. So we got to be very particular about how we format this stuff. Alright, so function update, and we are going to use a command called print. Print is a built-in command that Unity knows, and what print will do is it will send information to our console. So you should already have your console pulled out from the last video, but if you don't, it's up under window up here at the top. Bottom one is console, and I like to park mine right here at the bottom, all the way across my editor window, so I have plenty of room to read what's there. You'll want to make this part of your layout because we're going to use this all the time here now. Alright, so inside the parentheses here after print, we have to tell it what to print. What value do I want to know? Well, I want to know what is the value of ammo. So I'm going to type ammo in here. And then we need a semicolon at the end of our line. Remember, semicolons go at the end of every instruction, every command. So this is a complete command here, print ammo. So what this is going to do now is every frame, every time the computer redraws your screen, is going to run update. First thing an update says print the value of ammo, so it's going to go look at what this thing ammo is. It's a variable, and it's going to find the value, which is 100, and it's going to print that in my console. So let's save our file, Control S. Let's go over here and click in our editor window to see if there's any errors. There are not. Let's hit play. And play will cause our program to run and nothing happens. And that's because this file is not currently attached to anything in our scene. So it's being ignored. It's only going to, Unity will only run the files that are needed at the time. So let's hit play to stop playing again. And let's attach our scripting basics file to a game object in our scene. I have a cube right here in my scene. If you don't have anything here, go ahead and create one. Remember hierarchy, create a cube, and then once you have your cube there, we want to attach our file to it. Files always need to be attached to an object in our games for them to run. So a couple of ways I can do this. I can grab a hold of the file right here with my left mouse button and drag it and drop it on top of the object. When I do that, over here in the inspector for looking at the cube, you'll see that it tells me I now have this JavaScript component called Scripting Basics attached to my object. I can right click here and say remove component so I can show you a different way. Another way is I can grab and drag it and drop it on the object in the hierarchy. So I want to drop it right here on my cube. There it is. I'm going to remove it again. One last way that you can do this is you can click on Add Component. You can go to Scripts. This will give you a list of all your scripts in your project. You can click the one you want, Scripting Basics, and it adds it that way. So it's just kind of personal preference how you want to attach these. But now the important thing is that we've got a game object that's in our current scene, and we've attached to that object our script. So now our script will run. So let's click our play button here to start running our program, and in our console now you see that it is printing 100. Okay, and it's printing it over and over and over and over again. If you look over here at this number, that's how many times we've had this message sent to us. So it's jumping up pretty fast because every time it redraws the screen it's sending it. So let's stop playing by clicking the play button again, and we now see that we were successful in assigning a variable value to the variable. Alright, let's assign a variable to money. So again, we just put an equal sign. This is a decimal, so let's say we have 150.50, so $150.50. Okay, let's assign a name to our character here. And you will notice here that I did change something on this line. From the last one, it just said lowercase n name. In testing this, I realized that I can't do that because it was conflicting with something else in the programming language was giving an error. It didn't like name as a variable name. So I put character name, C-H-A-R, capital N, name, as a string. So make that change so you don't get that weird error that I got. Now when you assign a value to a string variable, you have to put it inside of quotes. So do some opening and closing quotes, and let's give them a name. How about Fred? Let's assign a value here to isAlive. This is a Boolean variable. So again, Boolean variables can only hold true or false. So let's go ahead and assume that he's alive at the beginning of the game. So we'll say that that is true. Alright, we're going to save this. Let's click over here to make sure we don't have any errors. Looks good. Alright, here's what I want you to do. I want you to type in the commands right here under print ammo that will print out the value of money, character name, and the variable isAlive to your console. It's going to be the same way you did it here for ammo. Pause the video and see if you can get that to work, and when you come back I will walk through it. Welcome back. I hope that you were able to get it to print out the value of all your variables. If not, then here's what you need to do. Again, we just use the print command, parentheses, and we put in what we want it to print. So in this case it's money. Again, need a semicolon at the end of your line. And we just do the same thing again for character name and for is alive. Oops, and we don't want it to say is alive. We actually want to say print is alive. Got a little ahead of myself there. Okay, so if you typed in all the variable names, you got to make sure that they match exactly the way that you declared them up here. If you forget to capitalize something or have a typo, you will get an error. Let's save this, and what it should do now is it will execute these instructions in the order that we told it to. So it'll print ammo, which is 100. It'll print money, 150.50. It'll print the character name Fred, and then it will print true for is alive. So let's see if it does what we expect. Let's come over here, no errors, we'll clear our console, and let's run it. And here we go. Now, it looks like we might have a bit of a issue here. It's giving me the 100 just fine, but it's telling me 0 here for money. It's not giving me a name for Fred, and it's saying false for is alive. Now, if this happens, what's most likely the problem is that, we'll stop playing this, is that over here, if I click on my cube and look in the inspector, over here I can see the value of these variables. So the editor has not updated itself to the changes I made over here. So if that happens, and it will, it's one of the quirks in Unity from time to time, you just go over here to this little gear looking thing. This is your settings. You click it there. The very first one says reset. Click reset, and it will go back out to our script. It will look through it, and it will update all these variables. So when I did that, you notice that money popped in, Fred is in here now, and there's a check mark in the is alive, because if there's a check mark there, then it says that's true. So that being done, let's try running this again. We'll clear out our console. Let's run it again. And there it is. Now it's working correctly. We have 100 here, 150.5 for our money. We have Fred for our character name, and true for is alive. So that is how we can assign the initial values. Let's put a little note here on this first print here, just because I hope that you're typing this in and that you are putting these notes in, because this is going to be your reference file to go back and see how we did different things inside of Unity here. So this is kind of like your notes. So make sure you make good use of them. So print will send information. Got that spelled wrong. Information to the console. There we go. So that's what the print command does and how to use it. Okay, now the next thing we want to do is look at how to change the value of the variable after we make it. So this is our initial value that we put in. Let's line these guys up a little better here too. It's always a good idea to line up your comments. Like I was saying before, we want to make things nice and readable in our notes. Okay, so let's say ammo is 100 now, but it's not always going to be 100. So how do I change it? Well, let's go ahead right here in our update function. Let's push all that down a bit. And before we print the value of ammo, let's change it. So here's how you change the value inside a variable. This is pretty simple. All you do is you put the variable's name there. So here's ammo, and we just make it equal to something else. So let's say ammo equals 500. Right? What this does is it puts the number 500 in ammo. It overwrites whatever was in there before. So it's going to ignore whatever the value was in here. It's just going to put the new value in. So ammo will no longer be 100. It will now be 500. So let's save this. Let's click over in our editor. No errors. Let's clear our console and play. And now you see that it is putting 500 here for the value of ammo. So it did take and overwrite that 100 with a 500. So that's how you change the value or replace a value. What I would like you to do now is to right underneath ammo here is to go ahead and change the value in money, character name, and is alive. That's your test to see if you got this. So pause the video now, and when you come back I will demonstrate this for you. Alright, let's take a look at how to change these values. So again, to change the value of money, I would just type in money, use an equal sign, and let's say he spent a little, so he's got 50. So there's 50. And let's say for some reason Fred changed his name, so character name is now going to equal Sue. Kind of strange, a boy named Sue. Okay, and then world's change is alive. Oh, well, let's say he's no longer alive. Poor Fred or Sue or whoever this is no longer alive, so we'll put false in there. Alright, save it. So again, this runs in the order that we put the instructions in. So the first thing it's going to do is overwrite ammo, money, character name, and is alive with the new values, and then it will print them. So it is still assigning these initial values up here at the very beginning. It's just we're right away, as soon as the game starts, we're overwriting them. So let's click in our editor. We're looking for errors, no errors. Let's click play, and we should get some new values here in our console. So yeah, we got 500 for ammo, 50 for money, our character's name is now Sue, and our character is sadly no longer alive. So that is how we can replace values that are in variables. This can be done any point in your program before you need to do so. Anytime you pull the trigger on your gun, you use ammo. So we'll put new ammo in there. Every time you spend money or gain money, it changes. That's how you go about doing it. And that's the end of this video. In the next video, we will start looking at how to use math in here, how to add and subtract from things that are in variables, so that we can take ammo away, add it, so forth and so on. See you then.